All right. Hi, my name is Dwayne, and this is the Hub Podcast. Let's throw a special shout out to Malama Fitness, which is where we're filming today, and also throw a shout out to our show sponsor, Green Compass, which is a global CBD brand as well too. You're here with me today to record an episode describing the top 5 ways to improve health. We're going to start with a few basic definitions first. Then we'll go over where the state of our nation is today, and then we'll start to get into each of the 5 different methods to better health. So let's start with the definition. First way I want to start just by dictionary.com. We'll define health. Health is defined as a state of being in good health, without disease, and indicative of or conducive to promoting good health, which says a bunch of nothing. Now, good health is defined differently by everyone. In my personal opinion, good health means that physically you're feeling great, emotionally you're in a healthy state, socially you have great resources and outlets around you, spiritually you're in tune with where you like to go and your purpose, and last but not least as well too, we have to make sure that we have some kind of purpose moving us forward as well. So today we're going to focus on those 5 areas and moving us forward as a guys. So before we get into our 5 methods, we're going to start with just a few statistics, just some basic things off of the cdc.gov website. So according to the CDC, from 2017 until 2020, U.S. obesity prevalence increased from 30% up to now 41.5%, meaning from 30% of people in America being obese to now we're up to about 41% of our population is obese or identifies as obese. Inside of those numbers, if we break those numbers down, from age 20 to 39, the category and class that I would fall into, 40% of people in that age group are obese. Age 40 to 59, 44% of that age group are obese. And last but not least, age 60 and up, 42% of those people would be defined as obese. Now, obesity doesn't necessarily mean that you're unhealthy at all. I'm not trying to take this as a shot towards anyone who identifies as obese. But obviously, if we're putting on more body fat than anything, and if we're not eating the right way, if we're not in healthy habits, then obviously our health is probably not going to be at an optimal range. And that's what this is about. We're trying to get to an optimal level of health. So don't take this personal. It's just the stats, and that's just what it is. But we can always make a change, and that's what we're here for. So we're going to start at the top with our number 1 tip on how to come into a healthier place. All right, so for tip number 1, we're going to focus at what I think is the most important place to start, which is our mindset. Where is your mindset? So the first question that I would ask when you're considering mindset is, what are you becoming? So let's just use for an example, say you want to become a runner. You want to become a runner, you're going to do what runners do, right? That's what's going to influence your habits and what kind of stuff you do. However, you become a runner in your mind, but you don't run, or you only lift weights, or you only take hikes up the mountain. You never hit the trail and actually run. You never hit the road and actually run. So what you become actually should influence what you're doing. This leads me into point number B. Are the things that you're doing actually aligning with what you want to become? So you said you want to become a runner, but your habits don't match that. We have to always kind of assess, hey, are these habits matching what I want to become? So I think a lot of mistakes that people make when it comes to health and fitness is that their habits don't necessarily match what their identity is when it comes to health and fitness. So instead of eating trash meals out, not sleeping properly, drinking, smoking, maybe taking drugs, things like that, we should be focusing on the habits that we want to actually cultivate the health and fitness and lifestyle that we would like to have. The third thing would be what kind of habits should you be focusing on? So that's where like a personal trainer like myself would come in handy. Someone that's in the health and fitness space, we can kind of help you to put those types of things around you. So what I would say is, honestly, if you're trying to become, like I said, a runner in this case, let's try to find where you need to start. Maybe you're not going to run a marathon the first day out, and that's okay. Maybe you're just going to run around the block one time, and that'll be your marathon for the day. We can even start with that, and those are the habits we need to focus on. But it does need to be something that you can do consistently. So I would say those are the 3 main keys. So first is, what are you going to become? The second thing will be, is that really what you want? So do those things align, the habits align with what you want to become? And then the third thing are, what are some key habits that you should be focusing on for what you want to become? All right, so for priority number two, tip number two, I would say, we're gonna prioritize our rest. So me as a professional, I'm a personal trainer, I run my own business, I rent space here at Malama Fitness. The first thing I do when I'm programming for clients is I actually program their rest. What days are they gonna rest on? What days are they gonna work out on? Things like that. I have to figure out that schedule, one, for their time and the practicality of our situation, but two, also, that's where the growth is gonna occur. So for letter A, I guess you could say bold point number A, we have to understand how the body works. I don't know if people really understand this, but lifting weights doesn't actually benefit your body. You're actually breaking down your body at that point in time. But by prioritizing rest, we actually can help our bodies to recover and repair and be stronger the next time. And that's the whole goal of like personal training, trying to get strong, weight training, things like that, is the body just gets a little bit more improvement for the next time that you do this or partake in some activities. Letter B would be our culture focuses on hustle and not rest. So take, for example, I have friends that have multiple jobs. I have some friends that work like 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts, sometimes 24-hour shifts. We glorify hustling and always being active and always doing something, always trying to get the money, always trying to provide, things like that. However, what we don't understand is eventually our bodies kind of come to a crashing halt. And it's glorious for us to go buy caffeine from Starbucks to keep us going, but it's not glorious to just get 8 hours of sleep in that bed. And I think we got to start shifting our focus from the hustle culture to actually investing in us and prioritizing ourselves, especially when it comes to rest. The last point is rest is where the growth is. So like I said earlier, when you lift weights, you're breaking down muscle fibers. When you're sleeping and you're actually resting, that's how those muscle fibers get re-enhanced and also regrow so that you can come back stronger for the next time. And so I don't think people really understand just how their bodies really work. You definitely need as much rest as possible, and you should prioritize your rest as well too. You only spend maybe a few hours in the gym, but literally the rest of your life and your day is 24 hours throughout the day, 168 hours throughout the week. Maybe a client on average sees me about 3 hours a week. So what are you gonna do with the other 165, right? We need to make sure we're prioritizing rest in that time. All right, guys, tip number 3, to be in a healthier space, eat real food. All right, so letter point A that I wrote down on my notes, real food comes from either something that was planted in the earth, grew from the earth, and then either fostered like fruits from a seed, roots like a potato, or had some green leafy stuff attached to it, right? So something we can identify when it grew out of the ground. Or, letter point B, it was alive at some point in time. Now, don't be mad at me, vegan community. All of us are not vegans. Some of us still eat meat, things like that. I don't feel guilty for that. No shame in my game. However, obviously we want to make sure that it's the best and most high quality product that we can have. Grass-fed, grass-finished as well too. Making sure that it's not like farm-raised. A lot of these things are filled with a lot of antibiotics, and these animals get sick, and then they just send them and slaughter them and send them on into the market, and then you're eating what that animal ingested as well too when they were sick, and we don't want that. Last but not least, I want to spend the most of the time in this clip focusing on what I call the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule just states that 80% of the time you want to be eating real food. And what I mean by that is we're not having something out of a lunchbox, we're not having something out of a package, we're not having something that's processed. We're actually cooking real food, things that you can identify. That's a chicken breast, this is rice, things like that. When it comes out of the package, hamburger helper, that used to be my thing, right? Spaghetti. When you're eating those things all the time, you're not really sure where the nutrients and everything is coming from, versus if it's something that's actually real food, you actually know where it's coming from. You can also have more control over the finishing product, I guess you can say. All right, so we're gonna focus on eating real food. Number 1, it grew out of the ground. Number 2, at some point in time, it was alive. And then number 3, we're focusing on the 80-20 rule, which means 80% of the time we're eating real food. And then that other 20% of the time, if you want to have some fun and flexibility, that's where we'll do it at. All right, tip number 4, a really simple one. I feel like this one goes back to elementary school for me. So this is actually drink water. A lot of times throughout the day, I don't know how many clients I see every day. that struggle with drinking water. And I get it, it's boring, it's not glorious. I don't even know why people would think it's a fitness tip. If you didn't know any better, right, you probably wouldn't think that it's a fitness tip. But let's think about it. First off, our bodies are composed of 70% water, right? So upwards of 60 to 70% of water for most people. So we need water for everything that we have in our bodies. Every metabolic process, for the most part, needs some form of water or produces water. So we got to make sure we always have water present in our bodies, okay? Number two, 2% dehydration can inhibit your brain function. So let's think about this. Literally, you losing 2% of your body mass from water dehydration can have you lethargic, feeling like super low energy, not being able to concentrate, not being able to focus. And what does that sound like? Most people kind of feel like they experience this on a day-to-day basis. Like every day that I see people come in, usually these are the things that they state to me, is that I'm feeling a little groggy, I'm feeling a little tired, I can't concentrate for very long, things like that. So what do? They go and grab caffeine, they go grab coffee from Starbucks or an energy drink, something like that. And all that does is just continue to dehydrate you more. So instead of grabbing that caffeine first, maybe let's try to just, shoot a glass of water. Last but not least, water also allows you to flush toxins out of your body. So what I'd say is, honestly, sometimes if you're feeling a little sluggish or like digestion-wise is not feeling very good, it would be a good idea to maybe grab a glass of water. A good rule of thumb is half of your body weight in ounces to start. And then as you're more active, get close to a gallon of water per day. If you can do that consistently, you'll probably be on a good path towards hydration and feeling at your best and most optimal self. All right, guys, and finally for tip number 5, we're gonna start and finish in the realm that I exist in, which is health and fitness and personal training. So getting active. That's tip number 5, is to make sure that you get active. So according to the CDC, people should maintain 150 minutes of activity weekly, okay? Now, you don't have to do this all at one time. I mean, even me, I can't do 2.5 hours straight of something. I'm not in that kind of shape these days. However, if you spread that out between 5 different days, that's only 30 minutes per day. If you do 3 days, that's 50 minutes per day. So you can kind of mix and match to whatever works best for your schedule. But we should at least strive to do this at minimum for 150 minutes of activity a week. I would personally say, and I say this to all my clients as well too, we should pick activities that you somewhat like. So when they're in the gym with me, obviously I'm not gonna pick only the lifts that they like, because who wants to do the lifts that they only like? Those are usually not the ones that are very beneficial, because, they want to go easy. But when they go outside to do their activities, whether it's walking, jogging, playing basketball, swimming, whatever the case may be, usually outside of the gym, I prescribe them to do what it is they like and do that for at least 20 to 30 minutes a day. If you do that multiple times, plus your time in the gym, you're definitely gonna hit that 150 minutes minimum and probably go over that as well too. Last but not least, you should push your boundaries, honestly. And what I mean by this is, a lot of times people hire me as a trainer to keep them accountable, but they also hire me to challenge them when they don't know how to challenge themselves. A lot of people could do the exact same workouts on their own, 100%, I agree. I don't feel like it's anything special when it comes to that part of my job. However, the influence of another person to push you beyond your normal limits, I don't care what anybody says, until you've experienced it, there's nothing like it. So even some of the greatest athletes have coaches. LeBron James has a coach. Some of the top athletes have a trainer. A lot of people always have like a teacher or a mentor or whatever they want to call it to push them to their higher level. So you have to make sure that you're challenging yourself, and if you can't, get into a group that challenges you, or you can always look and hire me or hire another personal trainer. I'm not a hater. I think in this industry, we are due for a lot of growth, especially coming out of the pandemic. So I would say the 3 main things you want to focus on: get 150 minutes of activity weekly. Number 2, pick activities that you like. And number 3, make sure that you challenge yourself, or if you can't do it for yourself, get into a group or hire someone like myself to do it for you. All right, in closing, I want to give a huge shout out to anyone out there watching this content. Huge shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or even TikTok. Thank you for following. Thank you for investing and taking your time to watch this content. I hope that it pours into you somehow. Once again, I'll give you guys a shout out to all where you can find me on social media. Hub Fitness on Instagram as well too. On TikTok, it will be the official Train with Dwayne, and on YouTube, it's also official Train with Dwayne as well. I look forward to bringing you more content. I'd also like to throw a special shout out to Malama Fitness, which is where we're filming today, and also throw a shout out to our show sponsor, Green Compass, which is a global CBD brand as well too. Thank you guys, and stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you next time.